Hi there, and welcome to this lesson. In this lesson, we'll be learning properties of angles, okay? And under properties of angles, we'll be learning angles in triangles and quadrilaterals, okay? So angles in triangles and quadrilaterals. Now, as the lesson progresses, anything you don't understand, be sure to contact your tutor, who would be more than happy to help. And yeah, let's jump right into the lesson. So properties of angles, angles in triangles and quadrilaterals. Now, angles and triangles. Okay, let's talk about angles and triangles. So I have this triangle here. Okay, and it contains three angles in a triangle, alpha, beta, and theta. And there is a relationship here. And the relationship we have is that the sum of angles in the triangle is 180 degrees. Now, you probably heard this before. Okay, you should be familiar with this. Sum of angles in the triangle is 180 degrees. Now, angles in an isosceles triangle. Now, an isosceles triangle is a special type of triangle, okay, with two angles equal, okay, two angles equal, two sides equal. Now, basically, what we have there, you see those two lines, there are two lines crossing our triangle there. Pretty much says those two lines are equal, and for that reason, the angles formed are equal as well. So in this case, alpha equals beta, and the base angles in an isosceles triangle are equal. Now, we have the base angles, the angles at the bottom in an isosceles triangle, but sometimes we have this presented basically the orientation of the triangle could vary. Okay, so you could have these two base angles that are equal presented in a different orientation. You could have something like that, and then alpha and beta are still the same law applies. Alpha and beta are still equal. Now let's talk about angles in a quadrilateral. Okay, so quadrilateral is a shape with four sides: rectangle, a square, a parallelogram, a rhombus, a kite. Those are quadrilateral. And for quadrilaterals, and for a quadrilateral, we have four angles, and the sum of these four angles equal 360 degrees. So, and for a rectangle, for a square, where you have basically you have it upright, you have 90 degrees on each of those angles. Okay, but then you have something different when you're working with a parallelogram. All angles still equal three. The sum of all angles still equal 360 degrees, but then they are not 90 degrees each, like we have in rectangles and squares. This time we have different angles, but then for parallelograms, kites, for rhombus, basically you have that the opposite angles are equal. Okay, so angle beta, the opposite angles beta, they equal each other, the alphas equal each other as well. And that's pretty much it. Okay, pretty much all you need to know about in this lesson. Very, very simple. It's going to be a very short lesson. Okay, and yeah, let's do some examples. Example one. And we have the angles of a triangle are A, 3A, and 5A. Find the value of A in degrees. Okay, it's a simple one. Okay, and we just need to apply one very simple law. So we have a triangle, and the three angles in the triangle we have A, 3A, and 5A. And basically, what we have is we have that the sum of these angles should equal 180. Okay, three angles in a triangle, when you add them up together, you should have 180. And you have A plus 3A plus 5A equals 180. When you add those up, you have 9A, which will give you that A equals 20. Simple, straightforward. Let's move on. Example 2. Example 2, we have calculate the angle marked B in the figure below. Okay, so what we have here, we have a very interesting triangle. It's an isosceles triangle, okay, by virtue of the marks we have there. So this is an isosceles triangle, but we have this line coming out on one end, okay, and we have 160 degrees, and we've been asked to solve for B. Okay, let's go ahead and do this. Now, we have our triangle, and I'm going to introduce an angle. Okay, I'm going to introduce alpha. Okay, you see I've introduced an angle there. Okay, and basically alpha should equal 100 and 180 degrees minus 60 degrees, because 180 minus 160 degrees, because alpha and 160 degrees occur are adjacent angles on a straight line. Can you see that? Okay, alpha and 160 degrees, adjacent angles on a straight line. And for that reason, the sum of alpha and 160 degrees should be 180. And basically, alpha is 180 minus 160 degrees, which will tell us that alpha in this case is 20 degrees. Now, how do we solve for B? So we have our triangle. Look at our triangle, our isosceles triangle. Now we have one side, the other side, okay, and then we have the two equal sides. Okay, alpha is our other side. Let's call that. And B is one of our two equal sides. So if B is one of our two equal sides, you would agree with me that the sum of B and the other side would be 2B, okay? Because if that side is B, the other side should be B as well, since they are equal, considering they're equal. And the sum should be 2B, i.e. 2B plus alpha should equal the sum of angles in a triangle. So we have that 2B equals 180 degrees minus 20 degrees, or minus alpha, and we have 2b equals 160 degrees, and you have that b equals 80. Simple. Final example, example 3. Ooh, this one looks very interesting. Actually really easy. Okay, let's get right into it. So we have this shape, and then we're just going to draw it out there, and we've been asked to solve for the angles x, y, z, and w. Okay, we have 70 degrees, we have 25 degrees, we have 95 degrees, and those two arrows tell us that those two lines are pointing in the same direction, i.e. they are parallel lines. Now we're going to start with y. Okay, and if you look at y and 70 degrees, you'd find that they are adjacent angles on a straight line, and for that reason y will equal 180 minus 70, which will give us 110. Then we do w. Now look at w, you'd find that w and 25 degrees are alternate angles. Look, the shape forms a z shape, so we have w and 25 are alternate angles. For that reason, W equals 25 degrees. Now look at Z. Now we have that ZY and 25 degrees are angles in a triangle. And for that reason, Z will equal 180 minus the sum of Y and 25. And we already found that Y is 110. So we just say 180 degrees minus 180 degrees minus 110 plus 25, and we do end up with 45 degrees. And then we have finally x. Oh, no. Yes, finally x. We already did y, w, and z. We have x. Now x occurs in another triangle, and we have w 95 degrees in x, and we already found w to be 25 degrees, so we already found W to be 25 degrees, so we have 180 plus 9 minus 95 plus 25 degrees. And basically we have that x in this case is, x in this case, oh, let's look closely, 95, 25 degrees, that should be 120. So our x in this case would be, yes, our x in this case is 60 degrees. And yeah, that would bring us to the end of this very simple lesson. Just pretty much all you need to remember is the sum of the angles in a triangle equals 180. The isosceles base angles of isosceles triangles are equal. Sum of angles in a quadrilateral equal 360 degrees, and opposite angles in a parallelogram are equal basically. And then yeah, you can go ahead now and attempt questions on the worksheet. Bye for now.